Right. Starting, write once, read many, 16.1 and 16.2. Getting the link onto Discord. Okay. Well, we've got live chat set, and we'll start this speed draw. It's a bit of a different program, but we get to actually see the tools used and stuff here. All right. So, as a reminder for the audience participation question, it is, what dragon suit model would you want to fight if you had to fight one? And Greg's here. Hey, as always. That's good. And then for themes, I put calculated recklessness. Because they don't say those words here, like Taylor says it sometimes. But she's thinking it in her deep brain. She's very, very, jumping out of a window reckless today. You know, she's got to get shit done. With only one day to save Dinah. Artificial deadlines. But anyway, moving on to, like, you know what? I'm gonna let the theme play out, then I'll start 16.1. Just didn't have a lot to say in this early part today. But we can see Gru's helmet turning out. As it says in the thing, more of a demon's face than a skull now. So yeah, 16.1. It's the next day from when Taylor was with Danny in the last arc. Skitter's watching over a community event that she's throwing for her territory. They're having a feast of pork shoulders, vegetables, and beer. It's going to take all day for this stuff to cook, and it smells enticing to her whole zone during the whole day. So she decides to let her people sort of do their thing and carouse a bit. She's so far ahead of the rest of Coil's people, the other Travelsiders, that she wants to build up some loyalty and some cred with her minions today. Skitter's territory has gotten kind of ridiculous. She's got like hundreds of people working for her and free housing for all of them. And now she's doing this big community meal. And it's unclear, but I think she's also still been feeding them for free, so they're getting paid and not having to buy food. So it's kind of a double whammy in the good direction. Yes, she thinks about how the Travelsiders have dealt with all of the opposing villains in the city. So the Chosen and the Pure, they're gone. And they've driven out the, or maybe the Pure aren't gone, but more or less, because they were together with the Chosen the last time they fought in Arc 15. They did the mayor thing. They got Perion on their side instead of pushing her out. You know, they've got the whole city practically. And then Gru shows up, and it turns out that Skitter did not check in with him at all last night. She had told Tattletale she might go over to his territory, but that didn't happen. She did this barbecue thing instead. And then, but, what can you do? They're just cape dating. They're not really dating. Um, Gru questions the barbecue, and when Skitter says her territory is the only good thing she has going for her right now, Gru's like, ooh, woo, what about me? Blush. So Skitter dials back, and she's like, well, I just didn't really know where we're at. Gru agrees. He feels the same, but he's clearly more confident that they're in a relationship than Taylor had been last arc. Skitter invites him on a date after the barbecue, which Gru agrees to after he takes care of his territory. Skitter says that it's okay not to prioritize their relationship right now, and that they'll fit each other into the breaks. And then Gru tells Skitter that he wants to kiss her, but Skitter thinks that will break her evil supervillain facade. She's got to keep up that kayfabe. And then let's see here. So right when Gru's about to bounce, Skitter feels something with her bugs. A dragon mech? Oh my god! Dragons here? I never would have seen this coming after the previous chapter where dragons showed up with all these mechs and Pigo talked about it. So they arrive in the territory and they're ruining, ruining their date later and the barbecue. This is terrible. This is actually like my fan fiction where I'm going out on a date with Weld and then Dragon shows up and then I have to date both of them. It's terrible. And then a skeleton shows up and we go out on a date and he cooks me spaghetti. It's a pretty good fan fiction though, actually. Vic said here, honestly, the first time I read this, I was so fucking upset the barbecue is getting fucked. Skitter commands her hive to take cover. I didn't prefer the hive. I like the other ones. Spiderville or the Bug Walk. What good names. And she and Gru start running as well. Skitter calls Tattletale, and the phone is all fucked up, but she can parse that the other territories are getting attacked as well. Greg says, Dragon ruins the barbecue, clearly a villainous action. Oh, I didn't switch to the real thing. I let the whole speed draw play out, but this is the true art in not small form. So, we get to see Gru's new helmet. Let's see here. Yeah, so yeah, they call Tattletale, and once the phone call breaks up with Tattletale, then Dragon, hey, Victoria, or Vic, indeed, so that we don't mix you up secretly with the clearly so similar character of Victoria Dallin. Yeah, Dragon's taken over the phone call and tells Skitter that she's cutting the comms and is looking forward to talking with Skitter later once she's been captured. Heart. The Dragon mech deploys a whole bunch of these drones that are like spheres, but it also says they're like two axe heads put side by side by the blades. So I guess they're like a sphere with two oddly shaped flats coming off the sides. But they've got anti-grav panels with those flats. They're going around. Arms Master's electrical pulse technology is flying around and killing the bugs. And then every time the drone does an electromagnetic pulse or whatever, then it falls to the ground as it's recharging, and then it pops back up slowly and then can go off again. So it's basically toasting all of her swarm, so she can't do anything. And one approaches Taylor and threatens to take her out of commission if she doesn't comply. But with the help of Gru, Skitter launches into the air to take it down. Sadly, she's just like swinging a knife at it, so it like easily floats slightly higher, evades her, and then just zaps them. And then, aside from Skitter falling onto Gru on the pavement, then the 100-pound drone also donks onto their body pile. Isn't that great? Vic says, did the chat sing Happy B-Day to you yet? No. Currently, you and Greg are the only chatters, so feel free to do so at your leisure. Happy birthday to me, everyone. Let's see here. Yes, due to their spider silk costumes, they are only zapped for a moment, and Gru was initially like, how did we not get knocked out by that? But Skitter's like, well, I made the best costume. Gru hauls Skitter by the wrist as he's drenching the area in darkness, and they're running away. His darkness makes it so that the drones don't have any connection to the main dragon suit, so they're all dropping out of the air like slowly. But then the dragon mech decides it doesn't like the darkness, and it sends a blast of air down the street, and it just clears all the darkness with the wind blast. Skitter and Gru manage to escape anyway, but they get to Coil's base. Everyone's there except Ballistic, Genesis, and Bitch. Coil is pretty bent out of shape about this whole dragon situation, and says that the timing literally couldn't be worse. He tells them that they still need to have everything taken care of by tomorrow. You've got 24 hours to have your report on my desk, he says. And then the Undersiders are like, what if, fuck that? And Regent voices this, and then Imp and Skitter both join in. At first, Skitter's really tense about it, but then she's like, okay, seal's broken, we're jumping in 2 feet. It's pretty great. And then Coil is clearly irritated by this, but agrees to give Imp her own territory, Regent a cash bonus, and Skitter a more solid promise that if she proves herself, Dinah will be freed. Vic says, Taylor's all cold here. I don't really like Genesis. Let me see how she phrases it. Yeah. Damn, I didn't particularly like or dislike Genesis. You know, I think that she wanted to like Genesis, but after the weird vibes of their, like, winged buffalo conversation, she's like, yeah, I don't care about Genesis anymore. But she didn't want her to suffer, she says. Bitch, though, that was bad. Ballistic, I couldn't bring myself to care that much. Pretty good. Greg says, at least Genesis isn't illiterate. It's because Genesis said she liked Kraus. Yeah, Vic. Man, we've got all these illiterates living in concrete hovels. It's terrible. So I know we kind of breezed through that chapter, but final chapter thoughts. I like this one. It's kind of a good, like, reset. It felt like very high tension at the end of like 15.10 and stuff. So even though stuff is still hanging over their heads, and like theoretically Dragon is a big threat, I've kind of heard it discussed in other places, and I agree with it, that like as much as Dragon might beat you in a fight, Dragon's not gonna murder you the same way that like the Coil assassination plot or like ultra kill you and like worse than death you, like all the Slaughterhouse-9, or like destroy your city like Leviathan. So he's not, so like Dragon's stakes are so different and so like casual to the audience, because like if Taylor goes to jail, like that's just an interesting plot line. You know what I mean? It's not like if bitches dogs all get murdered by Leviathan, which is just a bummer. Um so yes, it's a light. Vic says, Dragon send cute messages to people before she tries to capture them. Can't wait to see you, XOXO. Yeah. It's just it's kind of nice. It's also good to see some fun little sparring between Skitter and Pigot. I like it a lot, which is coming up, but like just this section in general is got a weird feel to it, and a good weird. This chapter starts so casual, like the barbecue, and it's kind of an odd one because compared to most .1 chapters, they're usually doing more setup before there's a fight, or there's like the 5.1 early on in the book where it's, or no, 6.1, where it's like starts in the middle of a minor scuffle with the ABB and stuff. But you don't usually have a fight in the .1s as often. I guess we're kind of getting to the point in the book where there's fights in many of the chapters, but regardless, it's usually a little more setup. And then moving on to the old 16.2, Gru knows that they'll need a plan to fight a Cape of Dragon's caliber. With 7 suits, she'll be on another level from before as well. So it's a whole can of worms to deal with. Trickster asks if Gru is going to be the leader. Skitter has 2 paragraphs of internal conflict before saying, actually. Then she has 2 more paragraphs of internal pause until Regent says, spit it out. Actually what? Can I take point here? And it has finally happened. Skitter is the queen bee of the Travelsiders. She has gotten the leadership role, and she shall never leave it. And when they ask her about her plan, she says that Imp is going to play a pivotal role. But yes, I think this is like a key moment in the story. Halfway in terms of arc numbers, although not halfway in terms of word count, through the story, she is finally the actual de facto leader of this group, rather than just sometimes she's in charge secretly. Skitter is going to start their efforts with a raid on the PRT headquarters. She thinks that the heroes will be a good target and they can gain leverage, make sure that none of their people are being captured and being held there. But she thinks Dragon will see this coming and have at least 1 mobile suit there. They'll have to fight the heroes and the PRT squads, but Skitter wants to disrupt their operations using like Shatterbird and stuff. Part of the plan, though, is that they have to get in point blank, because using Shatterbird without killing everybody there means like a really small use of the power, and Regent says that like the controls on Shatterbird are real slippery. It's kind of like orders of magnitude style thing, but he doesn't know how big the order of magnitude is going to be exactly. So it's a problem. Skitter gets them moving before the plan is fully divulged to the audience, because they have to cross the city on foot and try to stay relatively hidden while they do so that they don't get intercepted by other dragon suits. But it's great as a little writing technique, because it means that they don't have to like say everything they're going to do, then do it. They just say a few of the bits so that you know what some of their goals are, and then you're kind of jumping into it. Gru is endarkening the area as they approach, because that's what you do. And they think about how, it'll keep heat sensors from sensing them. Hopefully, other Tinker stuff that they don't even know about. But there's some description of the windows being boarded up and having screens on them on the PRT building. But given how important that this element ends up being, I actually think that this maybe needs a second pass. Like, I get what's going on here, but I think it would be very easy. I like had to think about it to make sure I understood, kind of thing. Like, it just needs to be clear. But we'll get to that in a minute. There is indeed a dragon suit here, but it's on one of the it's one of the dragon suits that none of them have encountered so far. Seemingly, it was designed for Trickster, given that it's in his territory right now. Everyone sets up. They kind of go to different areas. It's a complicated plan, but Skitter's sending all the signals for when to go, and they all know what they need to do as well. She's got bugs on them because the conditions of the or she's got bugs on her own teammates and because of the conditions of the city. The PRT headquarters is full of a bunch of bugs already, so she has a pretty full read on the situation and just like gets things more and more in place, so she's tracking like everyone inside. Then Skitter has this like really morbid thought about using Sundancer's son to burn down the building with everyone inside. Then she's like, but that would be bad. And it's an odd moment, but it is very like Skitter saying, I felt like I'd been stabbed with a spear made of ice. And then she's like, what am I doing? Why does my brain always say weird shit like that? And the answer is, cause yo crazy, Skitter. Yes, getting back to it, we got Sundancer's son moves underground, and then they bring it up through the street. Vic says, too real. They move it up through the street, and she faints like she's going to hit the headquarters, but then stops it outside of the building, and using the light passing through from the sun to the other side of the building, Trickster can get a bead on the people through the boards and through the like screens and stuff, and then teleport Skitter in there. Vic saying, why am I so silly and goofy? But yes, once Skitter's in there, she immediately fires spicy bugs in all directions. Triumph is jumping at her. She dodges. She gets a collapsible baton out. You know, the one she has. She swaps position to another point in the room and cruelly swats Vista in the face a couple times with the baton. Swap again, hit Miss Militia in the guts. Swap again, get kicked by Assault. This is one of those high speed action scenes, but I think it works very well. This is the point where Miss Militia catches on to what's happening and what they need to do. So she has people body block the side of the room with Sundancer's sun coming through so that the source of light doesn't illuminate it for Trickster. I'm pretty certain that's what's happening. Vic says, this bitch spicy bugging Triumph again? He hasn't had enough? Or hasn't he had enough? It's never, ever, ever enough for Skitter. But then Skitter is stuck here now that the Trickster's view is blocked. And there's some capes she's mostly beat up, but there's also Weld, Assault, 2 PRT guys, and then Pigot to maybe hurt her feelings. She has a paranoid moment thinking about Trickster's motivations. Maybe he's leaving her here on purpose. Then she decides that he's going to take this seriously until they actually rescue his teammates. So she doesn't think he's fucking her over or anything on purpose. Vale says, I missed the alert. Oh, no. Yeah. It's okay. I guess as a reminder for the audience participation, it's which dragon suit model would you want to fight if you had to fight one? Also, Vale, just to put this out there, you did make it just in time for me to remember to switch the speed draw because Assault is about to attack her, and that is what the image is. Okay, back to this, and then forward one. So we'll get to look at this as we talk for a second. There was a technical difficulty of some sort of unknown twin gremlin creatures consuming a stylus. And so this was done on PC. Ovale says, Vic, please. Your art is a joy. It's so fun and well done. Always covers something I never expect. Or I'd never expect. The stupid little YouTube heart is over that. Maybe I can move. No. Nope. I don't want to accidentally click that interactable element. I would never have mandatory fun. Vic says, Apple Pencils are literally like $200 to $300. I'm so sad. Thank you, Vale. And yeah, this is Assault fighting a Taylor Swarm clone in the midst of all this. A $200 Apple item is like a $5 item with a $195 sticker on it. Oh, too true, Vale. But it works with the whatchamacallit, the iPad that Vic draws on. Oh, and Vale, do you have any words to say about chapter 16.1, the sweet, sweet barbecue and the bitter pain of leaving it because of electro drones? Oh, Vic says, almost drew Weld on this one, but bailed out. Yeah, we got a lot of Weld already, so it's probably fine. I love the drawing of Tattletale electrocuting him. Yeah, no, that one's great. In Arc 10, that one looks so good, firing the lightning gun. One of Vic's faves. Yeah. Vale says, I love how messing with people's dinner is low-key the most villainous act in Worm that doesn't directly involve murder. Yeah. It's like that happens to her, and she totally is gonna do that to, like, multiple groups in the future. That becomes, like, one of her tactics. She's like, remember how fucking pissed I was when Dragon, fucked up my barbecue? Well, that's my new go-to plan. Exactly. Thanks, Dragon. Oh yeah, Val. But back to where we were. What was I saying here? So, yes, she doesn't think Trickster's messing with her. Oh, Greg says, to be fair, Taylor started it with the mayor. Yeah, she interrupted the mayor's dinner. So seeing Pigot, Skitter's internal monologue gets mean. I didn't go over it, but she's just terrible to Pigot. Then Pigot tells Skitter that she had made a mistake coming here. Skitter tries to play it cool, like, calculated recklessness, baby! But Pigot tells her 2 more dragon suits are on the way, and she's instantly like, fuck! But she still tries to play it cool. Out loud, she goes, good! She's all like, I like the brig! This is good for me! Vic says, the Undersiders have never met a fat person before. Bill says, yeah, but Mayor Dinner was more of a mashup of bugs in orifices with a side of messed up dinner. She goes full dinner villainy after this. Vic. They talk like she's instantly massive, and then turns out she's like or insanely massive. Then turns out she's like 250. Yeah, it's it's pretty crazy. But I also think that like Taylor's coming from a position of having like the opposite body type too. She's like this kind of tall waif, and Pigot's like shorter than her and probably about twice her weight. Um, Vic says maybe Taylor is bad with weights as she is with heights. Taylor's like 5'8" and 11 pounds. Yeah, he's 5'8" and 11 pounds. Um, and I mean Coyle's like 6'10". He's um, and then boop, boop, there it is. Um, so Pigot asks if Tattletale came up with this. They always think she thinks of everything, but this has all the hallmarks of a reckless Skitter plan. Assault tries to sneak in a kicked desk, but Skitter dodges because bugs. Pigot's impressed. She's like, "Oh, you have prescience." Um, and then they have some verbal back and forth. It's like it's like 4 or 5 paragraphs of stuff, but I just thought it was not like the most important to go over every little detail, so I didn't. Sundancer's fending off a dragon suit that's mobilizing itself like a flying squirrel outside. Pretty funny stuff. Skitter is running out, and she's running out of comebacks, I wrote. And Regent makes his play with Shatterbird just in the right moment, so she doesn't have to lose this battle of wits. Lights and seemingly everything else in the building systems go dead. Any light bulbs in there were shattered as well. Assault goes for Skitter, first hitting a decoy, as seen here, then grabbing through the decoy, getting the desk, and chucking it at her. Again, she dodges, but she kind of smacks her face in the wall because she has to just like go all the way into it. But Pigot's last line here: "What are you hoping to accomplish?" In lieu of grabbing her, Skitter slashes the screens on the window and then jumps out of it. After this bonkers move, then Trickster teleports her back in, where one of the heroes was. She keeps jumping out and swapping for one of the other people. Then she's outside, and she sees that Gru has used Clockblocker's power on Clockblocker to get him frozen. Great stuff. It's good stuff. Skitter finally sees what the dragon suit can do. It has a sort of tractor beam that pulls people in, or like other stuff probably, by an unseen force. And when it does this to Gru, then Trickster swaps Gru to get him back, and it pulls him away. It keeps dragging him into the air, and another dragon suit shows up. It was the one that was the base model to fight against Leviathan. This is like the one we've seen. This is the third time we've seen it in the book. Vic says manpower is 8'6" and 120 pounds. Is this Tattletale's plan? Vale says, I really love Trickster in this scene. It makes me wish he was an Undersider. Vic says he's great in a fight, even though he's illiterate. Yep. So yes. So boop boop boop. And then shortly after the second dragon suit arrives, then the drone deployer is also there. It's 3 of them now. It's getting bad. And Trickster uses a Skitter plan that she writes out to hold Kidwin hostage with her knife. But then after the dragon mech stands down for a moment, then it has tricked the Trickster. It sprays him with containment foam, and he kind of gets got for a second. Right before he's fully stuck, the dragon suits sort of mysteriously stop attacking them. Then he has a second to figure out what he's going to do. He switches spots with Kid Win, who's also in the containment foam. And then from that other, like, still contained position, he swaps Miss Militia into the containment foam too, which lets them escape and traps two heroes until the other people get the anti-containment foam spray. So that's good. And then after Trickster's out of there, they all run away. Gru asks why the dragon suits stop fighting, and they don't know. But they run away for like 15 whole minutes, thinking that they'll suddenly be attacked at any moment, and it doesn't happen. They sort of hide out in a building and get themselves sorted out. Somehow Trickster made it out of there with with Skitter's knife, which, like, I guess he was just conscientious and made sure to grab it up with his power, but I thought it got knocked out of his hand or something. Let me see how it's... Boom. Boop, boop, boop. Yes. The weight of the foam, or the weight and force of the spray knocked the knife hand away from Kid Win. Okay, maybe, I guess he still has the knife in his hand. Alright, good for him for not dropping the knife. I thought it was like one of those things that's not a plot hole, but just kind of silly. I thought it got knocked out of his hand and then he had it later, but I was wrong. But Skitter realizes that she has a note tied into her hair that's written in her own code from her hero notebook at the beginning of the story. What? I gave myself a reminder, telling me to take our group to the south end of the main beach. Dun dun. Page break. They go to the spot indicated in the note. Imp shows up, and she's kidnapped Pigot after they knocked out the cameras. But that happened while Skitter was, like, teleporting around, and there was so much going on that she just didn't notice. So Skitter sees Pigot. She's injured. She looks, like, pretty fucked up from a combination of spicy bugs and being handcuffed and sitting in the street. And Skitter doesn't even feel bad. She's just like, yeah, I don't care. Okay, so Vic said Kraus fan club, and then had the emoji, which I'm going to just for sake of ease call the powers emoji. It's the person standing perfectly still with their arms at their sides, doing nothing, and that's how Vic and I joke that people activate their powers when they have no physical component, is they stand there just like arms slightly to their sides. And then Vic says, me being obsessed with Kraus, and then it's just the same powers emoji. Vale says, a funny thing I thought of in the Pigot versus Undersider scene, Taylor often fights recklessly with no seeming concern for her own life or well-being. Pigot approaches the conflict the same way when they're talking later. Vic says, Imp must have been pushing her power like crazy for how totally they forgot the plan. I think that's a small part of what's so disconcerting about it. She is being Taylor, but a verbal-only version. The emojis Vic used swap places. Whoa! Me and Kraus in a silly, goofy mood, and then it's just the two emojis, the purple and the green powers emojis. So yes, final chapter thoughts. I think that this has a really good fight. It's a little unclear in one point of it, but like there's so many fucking cool things that happen. The tractor beam wheel dragon is awesome. The fact that they like jump out of the window and teleport the people to drop them is like, what a crazy plan. I don't know, the whole thing. They like hit the building from multiple angles. It feels like a full like Travel-Siders offensive, but they literally only have 6 team members of the, they're only at 2/3 strength. It's nuts. And they like stomp the Protectorate, who have more total capes on scene and Dragon Mechs. So, yeah. Vic says, longest chapter ever. It's such a fun chapter. It's, Vale's the one who says it's such a fun chapter, and I agree. Vic says, Taylor and Krause have real fighting synergy as much as she likes to make it seem like they don't. Yeah, she's insanely good when his power is being used because she is able to, like, keep herself oriented in the fight and, like, maintain composure while being dropped off at, like, all sorts of different locations to do, like, targeted strikes. It's like Oni Lee-esque, the way that she gets dropped into a scenario. It's not that she is in any way invulnerable. It's just that she's in and out so fast in these moments that, like, and she knows what to do when she's there. Vale says, I think Taylor dislikes anyone who doesn't go along with her plans and suggests plans of their own instead. That is the literal definition of bullying, after all. Yes, not agreeing with my plan is bullying. Uh says Vic. More chapter thoughts. I don't know. It's showing Taylor slip into cruelty, just being mean to poor old Vista. Threatening Kidwin once again. Terrible. But moving on a little bit to the overall arc stuff between these two. A great start to the arc. Really dynamic chapters. Get us right into the thick of things. And this is like a long ass arc. This arc's fucking long. And it's almost like Wildbow has talked about making this 2 arcs. But it's almost like got a part in the middle where you can split it. And it's a good thing that it kicks off running, because I do believe this is either the longest arc or the second longest arc. The audiobook for this one and for arc 26 are both like within a couple minutes of each other. And they're like 10 hours long or something. Super, super long. But anyway, we don't have to talk about arc stuff that much more because we'll have so many other opportunities to do so. Vic says, gave us a little taste of the humendous. I'm not sure if I'm not knowing this word or if it's a typo. But the humendous fat shaming that's going to happen next chapter, lol, should be the name of the should be named the Judgy Ciders. Vale says 16 is like a mile-long incline at the midpoint of the marathon. Always felt I feel it when I reread. Arc 16 is long. Yeah, but Arc 16 has like this moment in one of the Taylor fights that I think is so like iconic. It's just like one of Skitter's. I don't want to talk too much about it. We'll get there. But yes, 16's longness is made up for by its goodness. Characters though. I pulled out the Taylor thing that she's like, what am I gonna say? I promise I'll be good. It's said like so snarky by Rain in the audiobook. It's great. Vic says, I can't wait for the arc long barbecue. Vale, yeah, of course. I love this arc. It's just heavy when I get here. This and arc 27 have a similar feel. Okay. Let's see here. I wanted to pull out from Brian. Oh yeah, I said he's being cute. Some would find it cringe, but I think he's being cute. He's like, I want to kiss your bug lips with my demon face. And he's right. He should want to kiss her bug face with his demon face or bug lips. Brian's he's getting relationshipy It's good to see. We love it. We ship Brian and Taylor, even though we also ship Taylor with other people. You know, Taylor's in an open thing with like 4 other characters. Um, Vic says, I hope it's reassuring for Taylor. I do too. Even though she's embarrassed, I think she's good embarrassed. For Sundancer, I put, she's sad and seems to be realizing more now than ever how pointless all the risks she's been taking are. And then for Ballistic, I said, it's pretty funny when Taylor doesn't even care that he's captured. Bell says, Taylor could make actual lip-like appendages from bugs and pretend it's her kissing him. It's for the good of the relationship. Of course. It's important stuff. Yeah, I don't have a super lot to say about the characters here. I do think it's, like I said, it's a really important moment that Taylor is the leader now, because she will never not be the leader. Once her foot is in the door, it is permanently in the door. She is not allowed to leave until she makes a sale. I thought this part was funny when it was, how do you counter a teleporter with that thing, apparently? Vale says, Taylor doesn't like the label leader. I thought it was good when she used the swarm speak to hide her location. And then I was going to bring up the drone deployer. I thought it was cool. It had the metal objects the size of a beach ball were flying out of the sides of her suit. They floated in the air, spreading out in formations. Dozens of them. And then it says, what does it say? That they are, I could see the drones flowing into the sky in waves. I ordered Atlas back into my lair to keep him safe. I didn't want to risk him. Didn't want to get shot out of the air while flying, and I wasn't able to bring Gru along. Wasn't willing to leave him behind. And then, I thought it was going to say the little, here it is. Each identical black sphere with 2 wings like the blades of a battle axe, the tips of one blade connecting with the other. A camera with a red lens was mounted on a plate that roved across the sphere's outer surface, while another plate glowed in the same way Kid Win's anti-gravity skateboard had, always pointing toward the ground. So yeah, there's that. And then let's see here. I had wanted to pull out this other Daily Bop. Yes, it's about this other suit. The armored mech was moving, its limbs outstretched to catch the air with its flying squirrel wing flaps. Panels around its body were venting out hot air and giving it lift, and the giant wheel was tilted back at a 45-degree angle. The suit was clearly designed to fly forward, relying on the wing flaps to make intricate and acrobatic twists and make lengthy and turns in the air. Sundancer's miniature sun was blocking the suit's progress, forcing it to make lengthy detours and twist in the air, stalling and dropping several feet before it could catch the air beneath it again. More than once, it lost more ground than it gained while retreating from the burning orb. And then, same dragon. The wheel on the back of the dragon's machine was already spinning at full speed. I could make out a red eye in the center, identical to the ones that had been on the drone. The suit thrust itself forward, and the vents around its body, lunging for Gru, and Trickster swapped Gru's location with a PRT uniform, putting Gru on the rooftop. It avoided hitting the man by dragging its 2 left claws in the pavement, lifting its tail so it wouldn't swing around and strike him. The wheel blazed with a wreath of electricity, the entire suit thrumming with enough charge to kill every bug touching it. Without warning, the wheel flared, and Gru was yanked over the edge of the rooftop by an invisible force. So yeah, I think it's a pretty cool robot. Oh, and then Greg said, how do you counter a teleporter? A trap that requires you to read to escape. Exactly. Vale says, clearly posting signs prohibiting teleportation might also work. That's for the literate ones. We need dual-facing traps. One's for either literate or illiterate people. Vic says, the drones are foreshadowing for Taylor that Dragon and Defiant are in love. They make a bunch of baby dragons. Oh my god. Oh, Vic. Too gross. Oh no, the baby drones are like that's like their grandchildren. All these new suits, that's their kids, and the drones are the grandchildren. Okay, that's why there's so many of them. It makes way more sense. Let's see here. So, a bonus. I do not have a bonus this week, but doing the question, it is the which dragon suit model would you like to fight question, and let us see what people have said. 2 + 4 × 5 says whichever one doesn't have any containment foam. No other qualifiers. Vale says there was one that blows air. It was meant for Gru's counter, but seriously, it blows air. I'd fight the hairdryer dragon. Yeah, the hairdryer dragon is the same one as the drone dragon. And I think that's the most doable by like either normal people or people with general powers, because it's probably got containment foam, and it does have the drones, and it does have the wind cannon, but like all the other ones are crazier than that. Let's be real. Bill says it was highly susceptible to trash can lids. Exactly. We just need a whole bunch of people with trash cans who aren't afraid of getting zapped. Well, it's not in these chapters, but there's one later called the Dragonfly that doesn't have a lot going for it. That's the one I'd want to fight. Although I guess that's less of a dragon suit. That's one of the dragon ships from later. Like, it's smaller than the other ships, but it's probably maybe bigger than some of these suits. I don't know. But the question for this week is for the interlude chapter, the lady interlude, and you know what it's gonna be? 16.x. Describe. Describe your very own Nilbog monsters or small monster squad. Yeah. You gotta make your very own little Nilbog guys. Boop. And it's in the chat. I hope that if Vic is still listening, that you participate in this audience participation, because you're gonna have read all these little cute Nilbog guys, all little creepies, all little crawlies, and you'll probably have lots of inspiration. So I'll try and come up with some too. I'll try and pre-write some and not just be coming up with them on the spot. Vale says, mine will be a perfect counter to dragon mechs that can make the environments mildly windy. Good. You will have the power to defeat one dragon mech. Let's see here. I am going to start the old music up again and read the links here. The music used in this episode was once again Monarch by ScarlettXOX. You can find her on twitch.tv/Scarlett_Rogue, and I'm hoping she's going to start streaming again, but it's usually like one stream every 3 months, so, what can you do? Our Discord server link can be found, as always, in the channel description, as well as any of the stream descriptions. The author of the work being discussed can be supported on Patreon at patreon.com/Wildbow. The full text of the work is free online at parahumans.wordpress.com, and there is a fan-made audiobook of the entire work at audioworm.rain-online.org. And I am going to silence myself and let the rest of the music play. Bye! Bye, Bill. Thank you.